All right, in this video, we are going to be talking about creating and breaking habits. Most of you guys have probably started your New Year's resolutions. You've been doing pretty good, and you want to continue these actions and behaviors and make them a habit. And today I want to show you how to do that, make this permanent, where you're not another statistic that loses all their momentum that they had going from the New Year's. Okay, so we're going to be using James Clear's laws. If you're familiar with the book Atomic Habits, he talks a ton about this. This is the exact content, or this is the things that I teach my clients to help them get amazing results, to help them create habits and to help them break habits in their health and fitness journey. So I'm going to run you through each law. We're going to go over how to create a habit first, then how to break a habit using that law. So let's get into it. So the first law when it comes to creating and breaking habits is, if you want to create one, make it obvious, and if you want to break one, make it invisible. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, if you're trying to create a habit, we need to make this habit obvious so you don't forget about it. Because if you've ever heard the saying, out of sight, out of mind, that is so true. And so if we want to create a habit, we have to make it obvious, and there's a different ways that we can go about this. The first one that always comes to my mind is stacking your habits. So you probably have something that you do every single day without fail. For example, you might brush your teeth, go to the restroom, or something of that nature, have coffee, and you never fail to do that. Well, you can create a habit on top of that by just saying, as soon as I finish this one, I'm going to do that one. And that is stacking habits. So for instance, let's use the scale. Let's say you're trying to lose weight and you know you need to be weighing in. Well, if you put the scale next to your toilet, you know that as you're going to the restroom, you can stack the habit of weighing immediately afterwards. This means that you won't forget about it. Instead, as soon as you go to the restroom, you stack the habit of weighing in. And that's making it obvious. The second way you can do this is controlling your environment. If you have the goal or the habit that you want to create of eating more fruits and vegetables, having it out in the open in your environment is going to really help you stick to this and create this habit. Now, let's go to the flip side of things. If we're trying to break habits, we need to make them invisible. And we typically just do the inverse of exactly what I just talked about. So if we want to make them invisible, when it comes to the fruits and vegetables, you need to put them, like I said, out in the open. So if we don't want to have junk food, if we want to have foods that are high in calories, we need to hide those things. We need to make it where we can't see them out in the open, because if we see a Sour Patch Kid or an apple, we're probably going to eat the Sour Patch Kid. So you need to make the habit of eating the Sour Patch Kid less obvious or more invisible, so you do not see them. And then finally, just eliminate the exposure altogether is something that is really easy to do. Just don't buy them. Then they're not in the environment, and then you don't have the option. So that is law number one. So if you want to create a habit, you make it obvious. And if you want to break a habit, you make it invisible for law number one. Law number two when it comes to creating and breaking habits is make it attractive or make it ugly. And when we're creating a habit, if we can make it more attractive, we're going to be more likely to do that thing. And there are a few different ways that we can do that. The first thing that stands out to my mind and what I have my clients do is I have them list out pros of creating that habit. And when we see a list of, let's say we want to lose weight, and we have 10, 20 things that are pros or good things that come from creating that habit, it makes doing that habit more attractive to us. The second way that we can do this is with our culture or our community. If you're around people who do not want to become healthier and you're trying to become healthier, good luck becoming healthier, because they do not find that attractive. I talk to people all the time who are eating junk food all the time, not working out, really don't care about their health. And when I talk about going to the gym or eating fruits and vegetables, they kind of laugh and snicker at me. And if you are in that environment, you're in that culture, that community, it's going to be very difficult to make that habit attractive for you to continue to do that habit. Now, on the flip side, if we're trying to break a habit, we need to make this ugly. And so again, we just do the inverse. When we're talking about making it ugly, number one is listing out all the cons. So if you're still overweight, or maybe you're eating a lot of junk food, or want to quit smoking, or whatever it is, list out the cons that if you continue this habit, here's what's going to happen. And after you see that list, that habit becomes much more ugly and you will not want to do it. And then on the flip side of things, again, with community and culture, find a community and culture that think that eating tons and tons of food and junk food is bad. And that means that it's going to be ugly, because that's all you hear is how bad it is from the other people. So we have to look at, one, how do we make it more attractive if we want to do that habit? And two, how do we make it more ugly or less attractive if we want to break that habit? That's law number two. Law number 3 when it comes to creating and breaking habits is make it easy and make it hard. And this seems obvious, but so many times we believe that if we want to create a habit, if we want to become healthier, it has to be difficult. We have to push through the pain. And that's not the case. If we want to create a habit, we have to make it easy. So how do we actually do this? Well, the first thing is to decrease the amount of steps that it takes to get to that habit. So for instance, if you have to get your fruit at the top shelf in a jar that is locked, it's going to be very difficult for you to continue that habit. Because why? It's just hard for you to do. And if it's easy, it's out in the open, it's fresh, then you're just going to grab it and it will be very easy for you to do that. Same thing if you have a gym that's close to you or one that's very far away, go to the one that's close to you. Why? Because it's easy to do. It's in your way. You decrease the amount of steps that it takes to do that habit. The next one is the 2-minute rule. The 2-minute rule is this. If you don't want to do something, you just need to tell yourself that you're going to go do whatever that is for at least 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, you can get off. You don't have to do it. But for at least 2 minutes, you are going to jump on the treadmill. You're going to go in there and work out. And whether you want to leave or not after the 2 minutes, that doesn't matter. The point is we're creating that habit because we're going in for at least 2 minutes. Now, more times than not, what happens is you do it for 2 minutes and you realize, I can continue going, and you do it for 10 and then 20 and then 30 and you get a full workout or a full treadmill session and then you're done. So those are the 2 things for creating a habit is number 1, decreasing the automation by making it easy. And number 2 is to figure out how you can do the 2-minute rule to make it easy for yourself as well. Now, on the flip side, if we're trying to break a habit, we make it difficult. We make it hard. So how do we do that? We increase the amount of steps that it takes to do that habit. For instance, if you have snacks around the house that you don't really want to eat on a daily basis, put them at the top. Put them in a jar that's hard to see. They're not top of mind. It's also really hard to get to. I have mine up to where I need a freaking ladder to do it because I know that I will trip up. I will fall into temptation. But I make it hard for me because I have to get a ladder and I don't want to do that. Now, the second thing comes back to the environment. If we are controlling our environment, we're making it hard for us to get those things. Putting the foods that are high in calories in the back of the refrigerator and the things that are the lowest in calories to the front, we're less likely to reach toward those things. So making a habit easy, if you want to create it, or hard, if you want to break it, is key to creating and breaking habits. And that's law number 3. And finally, law number 4, make it satisfying or make it unsatisfying. If you're trying to create a habit, you want to make it satisfying. And if you're trying to break a habit, you want to make it unsatisfying. Now, when we're talking about making something satisfying, how do we actually do that with our habits? Well, number 1, you can have a habit tracker. And this might seem silly. And when you were little, when you're putting stickers up on a board, you probably rolled your eyes. But the research has showed time and time again how important it is to keep track of a habit. If you know that you've been doing for 30 days, you won't want to miss. You want to continue doing the 31. And there is something about putting something up on a board or keeping track of it that just makes the mind feel good and wants to continue doing that thing. Now, another way that we can do this to create the habit or make it more satisfying is positive reinforcement. So positive reinforcement doesn't need to be something that is the opposite of what you're trying to achieve. And so what I mean by that is when you lose 10 pounds, it doesn't mean go have tons of pizza and ice cream to celebrate with positive reinforcement. That's doing the opposite of what you want. What you want with positive reinforcement is, let's say we're trying to become healthier and we said that we're going to walk every single day for a mile. And if we do that in 30 days, we're going to allow ourselves to buy a new pair of tennis shoes or some new leggings or some new equipment or something like that that's going to help encourage us with our health and fitness journey. So we want to use that type of positive reinforcement so we continue taking action on the habit that we want to create. Now, on the flip side, when we're talking about breaking a habit, there's a few different things that we can do to make it unsatisfying. Number 1 is find some form of accountability. Like if you have somebody who is always watching at what you're doing and making sure that you're doing it, you just won't want to miss, because it is very unsatisfying to look somebody in the eye that you told that you were going to do this thing and then them looking at you going, why didn't you do it? There's something about it. So find some form of accountability, whether it be a friend, a partner, a coach, for instance, or whatever that looks like to you. Just find somebody to keep you accountable. And with that person, one thing that other people have done is create a contract. So they will do some type of negative reinforcement if they break the law. So if you are, let's say, trying to become healthy and you have a day that you do not track, well, they will say in the contract, if you don't do it, then you have to shave your head or you have to take an ice cold bath or something of that nature that makes it unsatisfying not to do your habit. So those are the ways that you can break and create a habit when it comes to law number 4. Make it satisfying or make it unsatisfying. I really hope that you've enjoyed this YouTube video. I hope that I've created some ways that you can practically go and help create and break habits in your daily life. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below or click the link in my bio if you want to work with me so we can figure out how to create and break the habits that you need to get the results that you want. Chat soon. Peace.